Hello students, I am Dr. Ashish Kumar Suri. Welcome to revision summary part 8 of unit 5 of management. In this session we will discuss foreign exchange market. The expected number of questions from this topic will be 1 to 2 and the expected marks will be 1 to 2. The difficulty level may range from moderate to difficult. You can also expect a numerical from this topic. So from this perspective, this topic is very important part of this unit. Now what do we mean by foreign exchange? Foreign exchange means how many units of one currency are required to buy a unit of another currency. So for say example, if a dollar costs rupees 74, this means 74 units of Indian rupee or 74 Indian rupees are required to buy 1 US dollar. So this is the exchange rate between dollar and US dollar and Indian rupee. Now what is foreign exchange market? The market where these currencies are traded or where you can exchange one currency with another currency is foreign exchange market. The foreign exchange market is in short also called forex or currency market. It is a global, decentralized or over the counter market for trading of currencies. Remember, this market is decentralized or OTC, over the counter. This means there is no centralized exchange or stock exchange as we have in case of equities. There is no centralized exchange where these currencies are traded. So it is over the counter or decentralized market. The market determines the foreign exchange rate between currencies of various countries. It is the largest financial market in the world in terms of volume. In terms of volume, it is the largest financial market in the world. Remember this. It enables currency conversion for international trade and investment. Now why we are converting one currency with another currency? Now because of the globalization, a company operating in one country is doing business in many parts of the world. So to facilitate the trade, it required currencies for different countries. So for trade purpose, we require currencies. For investment purpose also we require currencies. Also currencies like US dollar, which is the strongest currency in the world. It is held by many central banks of various countries like our bank, Reserve Bank of India. It also holds foreign exchange or foreign currencies, especially US dollar, because when one government transacts with another government, it also need foreign currency to facilitate its trade. So for this purpose, the central bank also holds foreign currencies of various countries, especially US dollar. So it is also held by central banks of various countries. US dollar is the most dominant currency in the forex market due to its high trading volumes. Now what are the features of forex market? One of the benefits of trading currencies is its massive trading volume. We have seen it is the largest financial market in the world, which covers the largest asset class globally. Thus traders are provided with high liquidity because the volumes are very high. So there is a very high liquidity in the forex market. The forex market operates 24 hours daily except on weekends. So except Saturday and Sunday, this market operates 24 hours a day. So that means the market operates from Monday to Friday, 24 hours a day, right? Trading volume in the forex market is generally very large because of the number of people who participate. So who are the participants in the forex market? Banks are the participants, government are the participants, corporates are the participant, individual traders or investors, they are the participant, and across the globe these are the participants in the forex market. So that's why as the number of traders are very large, so the trading volume is highest among all the asset class. The ease of trading as well as accessibility to the market. There are no clearing houses as we have clearing house in case of when we trade in equities. There is no clearing house or no central bodies that oversees the forex market, because we have already seen that it is a decentralized or over the counter OTC market. There are two segments of forex market. One is spot market, another is forward market. In spot market, currencies are exchanged immediately on the spot. So immediately, if you want currencies, you want to exchange one currency for another currency. Say for example, we are traveling to a different country. Say from India, we are traveling to USA, and we need to convert Indian rupee into US dollar. So we need to convert it immediately. Okay, so what we will do, we will contact to a broker or to any bank, and we will provide Indian rupee and will convert them into US dollar. So this market is spot market. This market is used when a firm or individual also want to exchange one currency for another on the spot. So immediately, if you want to exchange one currency with another, that market is known as spot market. A firm may know exactly how many units of one currency are to be received or paid for a certain number of units of another currency. So with the help of spot market, we may know that how much Indian rupee we need to pay to get the required quantity of US dollar. So the rate is known as spot rate. The rate prevailing in the spot market is known as spot rate. Second is forward market. Forward markets has come into existence to avoid uncertainties. Say, what do we mean by uncertainty? Say a firm has sent some goods or exported some goods. A firm in India has exported some goods to USA. Okay, but the payment will be received after 1 month. Say the deal amounts to say $1 lakh, 1 lakh. But this amount will be received by Indian firms after 1 month. Now at present, say the exchange rate between US dollar and Indian rupee is $1 equals to rupee 74. Okay. Now after 1 month, this exchange rate may vary and it may go down to say $1 equals to rupee 73. In that case, if the firm will convert $1 lakh into Indian rupee, it will receive 73 lakh Indian rupee. But according to spot trade, the firm must receive 74 lakh rupee. So this is the risk or uncertainty involved. So how we can avoid this risk? With the help of forward market. A forward market consists of a forward contract. Now what is forward contract? That we have already discussed in the derivative section of this unit, about which currencies are to be traded, when the exchange rate is to occur, how much of each currency is involved, and which side of the current contract each party is entered into between the firms. With this contract, a firm eliminates one uncertainty, the exchange rate risk. This is what we have discussed here is what exchange rate risk. Exchange rate risk means the risk because of the fluctuation in the exchange rates, of not knowing what it will receive or pay in future. Okay, so with the help of forward market, a firm may eliminate exchange rate risk. Now quotations in the forward market. Quotations means how many US dollar or how many units of one currency we need to pay to get a certain quantity of or one quantity of another currency. So quotations are the foreign exchange quotation means the way relative prices or rates are quoted for trade between players in the foreign exchange market. Typically the quotation in the forex market is a two-way quotation. This means that two prices will be quoted simultaneously. One price will be the buying price, another price will be the selling price. Okay, one at which it is willing to buy the foreign currency and another at which it is willing to sell the foreign currency. So for example, if say US $1 equals to rupees 70.1525 oblique 70, this means 70.1650. So we have been given two prices, one is 70.1525, another is 70.1650. This means if we want to buy a 1 unit of or 1 US dollar, we have to pay 70.1650 Indian rupee, and if we have to sell 1 US dollar, then we will receive rupees 70.1525. So our selling price, this is our selling price. Our selling price is always lesser than our buying price, and our buying price is the selling price of the intermediator or the bank or the broker through which we are buying the currency, and our selling price is the buying price of the broker. So our buying price is always greater than our selling price, and the difference between these two is the brokerage or the benefit of the intermediator or the broker through which we are converting these one currency with another currency. Now there are two types of quotations in foreign exchange market. One is direct quote, another is indirect quote. Now direct quote means 1 unit of foreign currency, quoting 1 unit of foreign currency in number of units of domestic currency. 1 unit of foreign currency in the number of units of domestic currency. So now dollar here is the foreign currency for India. In India, dollar is the foreign currency and Indian rupee is the domestic currency. So how many units of Indian rupee we require to buy 1 unit of US dollar? So 1 unit of foreign currency with number of units of domestic currency. This is direct quote. Okay. Similarly, if we will quote 1 unit of domestic currency in the number of units of foreign currency, so it will be indirect quote. So for India, this will be the indirect quote. Okay. So 1 rupee equals to $0.0142/0.0143. This is the indirect quote for India, and this is direct quote for India. Similarly, this will become indirect quote for USA, and this will become direct quote for USA. Okay. So our indirect quote will be the direct quote of foreign currency. A lower exchange rate in a direct quote implies that domestic currency is appreciating. So for example, say $1 we can buy in Indian rupee, say 73. If this is the direct quote, and now if it declines, this means $1 equals to say rupee 72. This means that our domestic currency has appreciated in value as less, because we need less quantity of domestic currency to buy 1 unit of foreign currency. A lower exchange rate in an indirect quote. Now if say 1 Indian rupee equals to $0.0142. Okay. Now if it declines, so for example, say 1 rupee equals to now $0.0140. This means that our domestic currency has depreciated, because now in 1 unit of domestic currency we are getting lesser units of foreign currency. Okay. Now remember, this is important. A point in percentage, or in short we call it as PIB. A point in percentage or PIB is a very small change in a currency pair in the forex market. A PIB is a standardized unit and is the smallest amount by which a currency code can change. So what is the smallest amount by which a currency code can change is known as PIB. It is usually $0.0001 for US dollar related currency pairs, which is more commonly referred to as 1/100th of 1% or 1 basis point. Okay. Now cross currency rate, if the exchange rate between two currencies are not known, but these two currencies are quoted with a common currency, we can find out the exchange rate between these two currencies. This is known as cross rate. So for example, say if US dollar is quoted in terms of Indian rupee, okay, and if say euro is also quoted in terms of Indian rupee, okay, and there is no exchange rate available between US dollar and euro. So now we can find out the exchange rate between dollar and euro with the help of their exchange rate with a common currency, which is rupee in this case. So if the exchange rate between two currencies is not available in the forex market, it can be calculated on the basis of exchange rate of both the currencies against a third currency. This is known as cross currency rate. Now base and counter currencies. So the currency on the left hand side, is the base currency, and currency on the right hand side is the counter currency. So in a direct quote, we are quoting $1 equals to say number of rupees. So say 73 rupees. So in this case, dollar is the base currency and rupee is the counter currency. So in direct quote, foreign currency is the base currency and domestic currency is the counter currency. On the other hand, in indirect quote, rupee will be here. So say 1 rupee equals to $0.0142. So rupee will be the base currency and dollar will be the counter currency. Now bid ask spread. So we are buying or selling dollar with a forex dealer. A forex dealer is someone who is dealing in foreign currencies. So what is bid ask spread? So we have already seen this type of two-way quotation. Okay. So this means that 1 euro if you are selling 1 euro, you will get 1.30 US dollar. And if you want to buy 1 euro, you will get you have to pay 1.40 US dollar. So this will be the buying price for you. So your buying price is the selling price of the forex dealer. Okay. So this is the price which he is bidding. Okay. And this is our selling price. So this is the buying price of the dollar. So this is the price which he is quoting. Okay. So the price at which a forex dealer is willing to pay or bid for a currency is known as bid price. On the other hand, the price at which forex dealer wants a currency is the ask price. The bid price is the buying price for a forex dealer. So buying price of forex dealer is this. So this is the bid price and his selling price is the ask price. So this is bid price and this is ask price for the forex dealer. The ask price is the selling price for a forex dealer and the buying price for a trader. The difference between bid and ask price. So here the difference is 0.10 US dollar. This is bid ask spread. Is the difference between the bid and ask price is known as bid ask spread and is the profit of the forex dealer. So bid ask spread is the profit of forex dealer. So remember, ask price is usually higher than the bid price. It is the price at which forex dealer is selling the currency and we are buying. It is the price at which the forex dealer is buying the currency and we are selling. Now there are two types of exchange rate. One is fixed exchange rate, another is flexible exchange rate. So under the fixed exchange rate, or it is also known as adjustable peg exchange rate system, the rate of exchange between two or more currency does not vary. So the exchange rate remains constant. The government of the country adjusts its economic policy in such a manner that the stable exchange rate is maintained. So this fixed exchange rate is determined by the government of the country, and time to time when government decides its policies, economic policies, it review the exchange rates and can change it. But during that time the exchange rate remains constant. It do not depend on the forces of demand and supply. The government sets the price of domestic currency against major currencies of the world like US dollar, euro, etc. Under the floating exchange rate system, forex rate is determined by the market forces of supply and demand in the foreign exchange market. So the currency which is in more demand, its price will appreciate, and the currency which is in less demand, its price will depreciate. It is also known as self-correcting exchange rate system, and fixed the exchange rate system, it is also known as pegged exchange rate system. In this system, the value of currency is allowed to fluctuate or adjust freely according to changes in demand and supply in forex market. In India, we have a flexible exchange rate system. There is no official intervention of the government in the forex market. So government has no intervention in deciding the forex rate of one currency with another currency. Now managed floating. What is managed floating? If there is a large depreciation in the value of a domestic currency, importers are affected to a great extent and inflationary pressure increases. If the if the domestic currency depreciates in value, then inflation in that country will increases. Okay. In such a situation, the central bank may deliberately intervene in the forex market. Now to control this situation, to control this depreciation in the forex in the domestic currency, the central bank, say Reserve Bank in case of our country, it can intervene, it can interfere in the forex market to influence the value of domestic currency or to handle this or to stop this depreciation. This is known as managed floating. So the central bank is intervening in the market just to control this depreciation in the domestic currency, so that the inflation can be controlled and importers will not be affected due to this fluctuations. Then we have purchasing power parity theorem. The basis behind this concept is the law of one price. What this law says that a commodity must sell at the same price in two different markets in any part of the world, if provided there is absence of transportation and other transaction cost. Okay, so if a commodity is selling at rupees 500 in India, it must have the same price in any other country. Okay, so competitive markets will equalize the price of an identical good in two countries when the prices are expressed in the same currency. So now say in USA we have US dollar. Now in USA the same commodity will be purchased in terms of dollar. But when we will, according to the forex rate, when we will convert the US dollar into Indian rupee, the value of that, the price of that commodity should be equals to 500 rupee, because both the commodities are identical. This theory states that the exchange rate between currencies are in equilibrium when their purchasing power in the is the same in each of the two countries. This means that the exchange rate between two countries should be equal to the ratio of two countries' price level of a fixed basket of goods and services. For example, say a commodity is selling at rupees 500 in India and rupees and say dollar 10 in USA. So according to purchasing power parity theorem, what should be the exchange rate between Indian rupee and US dollar? It will be $1 equals to rupee 50. This should be the exchange rate between US dollar and Indian rupee. Now, when a domestic price level is when a country's domestic price level is increasing, say if this price increases to rupees 600, then this exchange rate will be 600 divided by 10. That means now $1 will be equals to rupees 60. So when price level increases in the domestic country, the country's exchange rate must depreciate. Earlier $1 was available at 50 rupee. Now $1 is available at 60 rupee because the price level has increased in the domestic country. This means that the domestic currency has depreciated. So an increase in the price level will decrease the will depreciate the domestic currency. This is important Fisher effect. It is an economic theory which describes the relationship between inflation and both real and nominal interest rate. What are real and nominal interest rate? Say you have deposited an amount of money in a bank and you get 8% of return. Okay, this is what your nominal return. Now say inflation. If inflation is 5% during that time period, so although your money has increased by 8%, but at the same time inflation has also increased by 5%. So 100 rupee deposited by you has grown to 108 rupee, but good costing 100 rupee at the same time is now costing rupees 105. So actually what is your return? 108 minus 105, that is 3% only. So real return is nominal return minus the inflation. Okay. So it said that the real return, the real interest rate equals the nominal interest rate minus the expected inflation. Real interest rate equals to nominal interest rate minus the depreciation. This theory was given by economist Irwin Fisher. Remember his name also. Fisher effect was given by Irwin Fisher. Nominal interest rate reflects the financial return an individual gets when he deposits money. Real interest rate is the amount that mirrors the purchasing power of the borrowed money as it grows over time. Okay, so जो हमने भी समझा है, this is what this statement means. Mathematically, the Fisher equation is generally expressed as, so 1 plus I equals to 1 plus R plus 1 plus pi, where this I is the nominal interest rate, R is the real interest rate, and this pi is the inflation rate. So if we will solve this equation, we will get the real interest rate equals to 1 plus I upon 1 plus pi minus 1. So say for example, if the nominal interest rate is 8%, 8% means 0.08. If inflation say is 3%, 3% means 0.03. Okay, so in that case the real interest rate will be 1 plus 0.08 divided by 1 plus 0.03 minus 1. So if you will solve this equation, you will get the value of R as 0.0485. That means R will be, we will multiply this by 100 to change it into percentage. So R will be 4.85%. This is what the real interest rate. So nominal interest rate was 8%, inflation was 3%, while the real interest rate is 4.85%. So remember, in the presence of inflation, real interest rate will always be lesser than the nominal interest rate. Then we have international Fisher effect. This is also important. It is an economic theory which states that the expected disparity means difference, between the exchange rate of two countries is approximately equal to the difference in the nominal interest rate. So the difference in the exchange rates will be equal to the differences in the nominal interest rate as per the international Fisher effect. IFE is based on current and future nominal interest rates and is used to predict spot and future currency movement. This theory is used to predict the currency movement and based on the analysis of interest rates associated with present and future risk-free securities like treasury bills. So it provides for the assumption that countries with lower interest rate will likely also experience lower level of inflation. So a country where we are having a lower interest rate, there the levels of inflation will also be lower, which result in the real value of, which can result in increase in the real value of the associated currency. So that means a country with lower interest rate will have a lower inflation and thus will have an increase, will experience an increase in its exchange rate. So the exchange rate of that currency will appreciate as a response to the, in comparison to the other countries. By contrast, nation with higher interest rate will experience depreciation in the value of their currencies. So the formula of international Fisher effect is the percentage change in the exchange rate of the country, or E equals to I1 minus I2 divided by 1 plus I2, or it is approximately equals to I1 minus I2, where I1 is the country A's interest rate and I2 is the country B's interest rate. Numericals from previous year examinations. Which of the following fully capture foreign exchange risk exposure of a manufacturing enterprise? First is transaction exposure. Now transaction exposure is the level of uncertainty businesses involved in international trade. So definitely this is the right option. Okay. Now economic exposure, it is the effect caused on a company's cash flow. Okay, effect cause on a company's cash flow due to unexpected currency rate fluctuations. So this is also the valid option. Then we have translation exposure. It is the risk that a company's equity, assets, liabilities or income will change in value as the result of exchange rate changes. This is also the right option. Now currency exposure. Currency exposure means the vulnerability or the risk involved in an investment or cash flow or a financial position due to variation in the exchange rate of two currencies. So this is not a firm specific risk. It is there on individuals also, right? So option A, B and C are the right option. Accordingly, option 4 is the code 4 is the right answer in this case. Which among the following statement is not true relating to crawling peg system of exchange rate? Now this crawling peg system of exchange rate, it is the it use the key features of both fixed exchange rate system as well as the flexible exchange rate system. So it takes a position in between the fixed exchange rate system and the flexible exchange rate system. So first option is the right option. Now this system was introduced by International Monetary Fund in 1971. This is also the right option, and it was introduced as an alternative to the adjustable peg or the fixed exchange rate system. This is also the right option. This option is wrong. Okay, this is wrong statement that it allows a narrow margin of fluctuations as compared to adjustable peg system. So now in this question we have been given two statements, assertion and reason. We will read both these statements. The nominal interest rate comprises of a real interest rate and an expected rate of inflation, and it adjusts when the inflation rate is expected to change. This is true. We have seen that real interest rate equals to nominal interest rate minus inflation. That means nominal interest rate will be real interest rate plus inflation. Okay, so this statement, hence in the perfect international capital market, the real rate of return are equal in two countries. This statement is true. Now, the reason, second statement, reason, the international Fisher effect states that the nominal interest rate differential must be equal to the expected inflation rate differential in the two countries. This statement is also true, and this is the actual reason of the assertion or the statement 1. Right. So option number 2, both A and R are correct, and R is the right explanation of A. So this is the right answer of this question. In commodity market, the foreign exchange rate is determined as per. So in commodity market, the foreign exchange rate is determined as per the demand and supply of foreign currencies. So third option is the right option in this case. So students, if you are preparing for IIT JAM, CSIR NET or NT UGC NET, you can buy study material from Edunkle. This will definitely help you to clear your examination. You can also download the app of Edunkle from your Google Play Store. On this app, you will find a support of more than 250 trained faculties who will help you to solve your queries, which will help you to crack your examination. Thank you very much.